Hey guys, this is Coach Alyssa from Isabella Fitness. I'm going to take you through a workout today. Alright guys, so today's workout is going to involve two different movements. One is a fire hydrant, one is a bird dog. I'm going to take you through those later. We're going to skill them out. Alright, but first up, I'm going to take you guys through a quick little warm-up. Alright, so for this warm-up, we're going to start with something called a cat-cow. Alright, so you're going to come down to the floor. Alright, and we're going to start here. So the cat-cow position is going to be here, starting with our cat position. We're creating this big arch in our back. Alright, so creating this position, and then we're going to go the opposite way, turning our hips underneath into this cow position. Alright, so in yoga they're known as cat-cow. We're going to move between them. I want you to hold about 5 seconds on one. Then you'll move to the other one. Alright, so we're going to do these together, going back and forth between our cat position, eyes coming up, back nice and arched, to our cow position. Here, really pressing the center of our back to the sky and keeping everything in our core nice and tight here, creating this hollowing position here. Alright, so we're going to spend 5 seconds on each part. We're going to do this for another minute. Alright, now from here, I'm going to take us into a high plank hold. We're going to hold this high plank for 30 seconds. Alright, so coming up with our feet, and we are just going to hold this high plank position. We should be nice and stacked, shoulders over our wrists, back nice and flat. We don't want any hips coming down. Hips should be up. Holding here, warming up our abdomen. And rest. All right, from here, now that we've kind of warmed up there a little bit, we are going to do a down dog. So we're going to bring our hands out. Legs are going to come up again, but this time we're going to shoot our hips high to the sky, and we're going to bring our head through our hands here, feeling a nice downward dog stretch. We should be feeling this in our hamstrings, right down the back here, calves a little bit, get a little bit of a calf stretch. Alright, then we'll come out of it, shake out our arms. I can tell just from doing it now, I'm really feeling my forearms a little bit here, so they're getting nice and warm as well. Alright, the movements that we're going to do today, I'm going to go into skilling these, are the fire hydrant and the bird dog. Alright, so for our fire hydrant, this one, we're going to come tabletop, just like we were before. All right, and then from here, we should be having our knees right below our hips. And then one side at a time, these fire hydrants are going to get done. We're going to keep our back nice and flat, and then from here, knees going to come out. All right, we're lifting our leg to the side. What we want to avoid is too much turning here. All right, so we're here. I'm trying to keep my back as flat as possible here, trying not to turn it with my leg. My leg is going to come out as far as it can here without having to turn with my back and coming back. Now this should be firing up our glutes. All right, so we should be feeling it right here on the outside of our leg towards our glutes. All right, so try a couple here. So we're going to dive into working one leg at a time with the fire hydrants. We'll do a certain amount of reps on one side and then the same on the other side. All right, so now warming up the other side. You don't want to lean too far into this leg that's staying down. All right, we want to try to stay centered, keep our core tight, and have that what keeps us balanced here as we're bringing this leg out. All right, so now this leg, the right leg, is the working leg. Trying to keep my back as flat as possible. And only turning out as much as I can without turning my whole body. All right, one thing with this, if you want to make this a little bit tougher and say you have some hip bands at home, you can by all means put that hip band on, bring it up our legs to right below our knees, and then we'll feel a little bit more resistance here. All right, so if you have, say, like a hip band or something like that, feel free to use that. If you don't, we're gonna stick with them just like this. All right, still feeling our glutes working every time our leg is coming out and back in. All right, and then I wanna talk to us a little bit about our bird dog. All right, so this one is one that takes a little bit of balance. All right, starting here, in this position, our starting position, one leg is gonna come out and press back. I'm a little close to the wall here. We're gonna press back. I want you to, instead of pointing our toe, I want us to bring our heel nice and flat there, pushing back, and then our opposite arm is gonna come up and forward. So this requires a little bit of balance. If you're struggling with the balance aspect of this, we're not going to get the most out of it, because we do want to get balanced and then be able to focus on keeping everything in our core nice and tight while also doing our bird dogs. So if you're struggling with keeping your balance as you're doing these, and we will be on this one alternating, then what you can do is keep the hands down, and we're just going to work our legs here. All right, so if we're having trouble with alternating, keeping our balance, and bringing our arms up, the opposite arm with the opposite leg at the same time, we'll just do legs alternating. All right, so what I'm gonna have us do now, we'll get set up for our workout. We're going to do 11 minutes, 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. All right, 2 minutes just working as many rounds of this as we possibly can, and then 1 minute of rest. We're gonna do 10 fire hydrants each side, and then we'll do 20 bird dogs alternating. All right, so again, then we'll hit 10 bird dogs on each side as well. All right, those are gonna be our 2 movements. We're gonna work with them 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. I'm going to restart our clock and get us started. All right, so we're gonna start with those fire hydrants, and we are gonna get started in 3, 2, 1. Now this definitely isn't one that we wanna rush, but this one, we're really thinking about keeping our core nice and tight and moving nice and slow through the movement so we get the most out of it. All right, I'm gonna move to the other leg. So I finished 10 on one side, moving on to the other. All right, so that's 10 on each side. Now I'm gonna move on to my bird dogs. For this one, I'm gonna show you guys the regular version, and then on our next set, I will show the modified version. So this one's working a little bit of everything. We're working on some core stability. We're also working our glutes a little bit here on that press out. Should be feeling our glutes there. A little bit of shoulders. All right, so I'm just gonna do 20 alternating in total here. And rest. So I only got through 16 of my bird dogs. I'm gonna take a quick rest, 2 minutes work, we're on our 1 minute rest. And then when I hop back in, I'm gonna start right back off where I left off. So got through 16 of those, I'll finish off 4 and then start back up again with the fire hydrants. Now's a good time to grab some water, just reset. Maybe we stretch it out a little bit here. Always the option of dropping down here into a child's pose during this time. And then in 15 seconds, we'll be back up. All right, so getting ready to come back into my bird dogs and right back up. All right, then I'm gonna jump right back in, starting onto my second round in the fire hydrants. You'll see I'm really trying to focus on, even as I fatigue towards the end there, not just bringing my leg out, turning my body with it, really trying to focus on my core stability here. You will feel it a little bit in your core here if you are really focusing on keeping this tight and only going so far with our leg here. You'll notice that your core is what's keeping us in that position really well. All right, then switching it up to the other side. All right, finish those. I'm gonna go into some bird dogs and see how many I can get before our next rest comes. Too close to the wall. And that is our rest. So I left off with 5 bird dogs. I'll continue from there when I come back in. All right, so those are still gonna be alternating. Really when we do that, you do wanna keep your foot nice and flexed, because then we're going to feel it in our glutes a little bit more as our foot's coming up and back. We should be feeling that glute engage a little bit. All right, so this is really gonna help us work on core stability and strengthening our glutes as well, which will in turn help protect our back during other movements. All right, we're gonna be back up in about 10 seconds. All right, I'm starting back off with my bird dogs. And I keep getting too close to the wall. So you'll notice as I'm doing these, I'm not shooting up and creating this big arch here. If we are truly keeping our core and our abdomen nice and tight, right, we shouldn't be in this position with our hips out. We should be a little bit tucked here. All right, there's about 40 seconds left. I'm gonna get into a couple more fire hydrants and see where we can go here. All right, 10 on that side is done. And we have hit that 2-minute mark. So right now we just hit 8 minutes. We're getting our rest here until the 9-minute mark. We'll do our last round. Right now I have just finished a couple of my bird dogs. I've got a couple left on that right side, heading back into, or should I say, my fire hydrants heading back into my bird dogs after I finish out a couple of those. All right, 30 seconds, last time to rest. And then once we finish out after this last 2 minutes of work, we'll go into a little cool down. All right, so I'm just gonna come down into a quick child's pose before we get started. Coming back up, getting ready. All right, I'm back up. Finish out what I had left here. All right, now I'm gonna go right back into my bird dogs. All right, that's my 20. Moving on, back to those fire hydrants. Ten seconds left, see how much I can get here. and that is time. So I did end up getting to do an extra 6 here on my fire hydrants. Made it through a couple of rounds of these. I want to say at least 4 rounds of these, so we got through a bunch. I'm definitely feeling it, especially here in my core. Definitely worked really hard, feeling a little bit in my glutes as well. What I'm going to have us do for our cool down, we are going to start back up with those cat-cows that we did at the beginning. And this time, a little bit more just relax through it. All right, so for our cat-cows here, all right, no set time, just moving between them as it feels like we need to. All right, feeling a big stretch. Right now, it probably feels pretty good to get into this arch position because we've been keeping such a tight hollow position with our core all this time. All right, so just moving through our cat-cow positions for a little bit of a cool down. And if one position feels really good, you can stay in that. Very relaxed here. All right, we're gonna get back into a downward dog as well. Feel a big stretch in our hamstrings, our legs a little bit. Get a nice stretch up at the top as well. We are head through our arms. Maybe we walk it out a little bit here with our feet. And come on down. And then for the rest of our time, we can get into a wide child's pose. So we're going to open up our legs a little bit, sink down, bring our arms nice and long. Can move side to side in this child's pose. We find a side that feels just stay here and relax in. And tension our back, let that release. Just big, deep breath. And relax, come on up. You can come to standing, nice and slow. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.